Part 2 of Full Court Press Basketball Debate, the January 6th version, 2015. We start with a quote by Derrick Rose, Yvonne. We know how much you love Derrick Rose. Quote.
That's an unfair statement. That's an unfair statement.
Hey, you've talked a lot of crap about him on this show.
I'm very much aware of that, but not him as a player.
Not as a player.
Okay.
I'm talking about, in general, Derrick
His
Rose.
personality.
Quote, we can make a run at the title. Yvonne, do you agree or disagree, and why?
I 100% agree. You didn't think I was going to say that?
I knew you were going to agree. The 100% kind of surprises me a little bit.
Absolutely. With the way they're playing? Absolutely. As long as everybody is doing their job, playing their position, and they play like they've been playing, absolutely. Absolutely. They are playing like a well-oiled machine right now. Now, if he hurts his toe, or he fakes an injury, which I think, okay, let me rephrase that. That's not a fair statement. That's not a fair statement. I apologize. If he milks an injury, like I think he did last year, okay? But he's well enough to go post for the cover of GQ, which I will never forget, as long as I live. Okay? If he milks it, like I think he did last year, and they pay him that exorbitant amount of money, after the way he's performing right now, I will be one of the most disappointed people you will ever. And you want to hear how bad I'm going to talk about him then? Because right now, they are a well-oiled machine. They are reading each other's minds. They're playing beautifully.
Okay, I want two things to happen with this, and I want one big thing not to happen with this.
Okay?
The first thing I want to happen is to acknowledge not how flashy and how well Derrick Rose has been playing, but how efficient he's been playing this year.
Right.
He's putting up great numbers all around. Like he's
Not just him.
He's not. Wait, I'm talking about him as a single player right now.
Okay.
Him by himself, his assist numbers are up.
Yeah.
The team is scoring better.
Yeah.
He's shooting at a career high percentage. He's been playing very efficiently. The second
know why?
thing, wait.
Okay.
The second thing I want to happen here is to acknowledge how well they've been playing as a team. What I don't want to happen here is to overlook the efforts of one Jimmy Butler
Absolutely.
and one Pau Gasol.
Right.
Let's keep in mind, Rose has missed some games this year. For injuries that have been true.
Right.
We have seen him limping
But
around.
he did not milk it or stay out
Right.
longer than he needed to.
In those games, Jimmy Butler and Pau Gasol
Stepped up.
have been absolutely sensational.
Yes.
And let me say that Tom Thibodeau putting Jimmy Butler back into the starting lineup has changed the whole demeanor and the whole swagger and the whole success of this team.
Absolutely.
This
He
guy
deserves to be a starter.
this
Are
guy-
you kidding me?
This guy is putting up numbers that are absolutely off the charts.
He's putting up numbers that are starter numbers.
If this guy, no. He's putting up MVP numbers
I'll
right
give you
now.
that.
He's not my leading candidate. He's my leading candidate for most improved player.
Right.
He's definitely not my leading candidate for MVP yet.
Right.
That being said, can they make a run at the title? Of course.
Absolutely.
They're second in the East. They're 1.5 games behind Atlanta, whom they've beaten already.
Right.
Okay? They've already got one up on Atlanta. One of the 8 teams that has beaten Atlanta this season. Okay? I like Chicago going forward, and I still stand by the fact that I like Washington going forward as well.
Right.
I still like that Chicago-Washington East Finals matchup. As good as Atlanta's been, and as much credit as they deserve, especially with what's going on with their ownership right now, which we'll talk about actually next. They've come to a big decision about that. They've 19 wins out of the past 21 games.
Yep.
Are you out of your mind? That is.
I'd like to touch on something before we get off this topic and quote a word that you used not more than 2 or 3 minutes ago and ask you if you think that has any bearing on the way that Chicago is proceeding at this point. You used the word, not flashy. Do you see what I see? Or is it just me? That Chicago is playing more fundamentally. And that is contributing to a lot of the success of them reading each other's minds on the court. And we're not trying to be flashy and look like a globetrotter passing the ball between our legs, around our back, over our heads, and all that kind of stuff. We're playing basketball.
Right. Right.
I think that has a lot to do with the reason that they're winning as many games. It's like a well-oiled machine. They're playing more fundamental, basic basketball.
Right. And let's be honest here, and this is how I'm going to end this conversation. Atlanta is the team to beat in the East right now. There's no question. You give me one game, I'm taking Atlanta. You give me a 7-game series, I'm taking Chicago 4-2. Because Chicago, I believe, has more pieces. I believe they have more going for them right now.
As long as everybody's well and healthy and can play their game.
Right. Speaking of Atlanta, their full ownership is now for sale. There's a big situation which I'll explain right now. Okay, for those who are not aware of what's going on, we remember in the preseason debate, we talked about the whole Danny Ferry situation, okay, about the racist stuff.
Yeah.
And that the Atlanta mayor wanted a new GM by the 31st.
Right. Stuff like that doesn't go away.
Okay.
Sorry.
Here's what's happened. The Atlanta Hawks are for sale, okay? Which means by the end of this season, there's a 95% chance that they will not be in Atlanta anymore. They will not be the Atlanta Hawks anymore. They will be in a new city. The city that they're looking at and that has the most interest in them is Seattle. Okay, the Seattle used to have an NBA franchise, the Seattle Supersonics, which changed into the Oklahoma City Thunder. Okay?
So Atlanta would not have an NBA team?
Right.
So that means there'd be 2 Washington teams.
Right.
Because Seattle is in Washington. There'd be the Wizards.
And there'd be the Hawks. They'd stay the Hawks, probably. I don't know if they could get rid of the name the Hawks.
Oh, they have to.
Not necessarily.
Well, yeah, look what the Hornets had to do.
They didn't have to do that.
Oh.
They didn't have to do that.
So they can have the name of an old Atlanta team and go to a different state?
Look at the Dodgers in baseball. They went from Brooklyn to LA.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's all the way across the country.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
The thing about going to Seattle is that now they would not be an Eastern Conference team.
Correct.
They'd be in the West.
Oh, I know, and like the West is not strong enough.
Which means a team from the West will have to go to the East.
Why?
To balance out the conferences.
Really? And who makes that determination?
where you're located. Your location makes that
So the
determination.
line, the division of lines, well, who is subject to having to be
Two teams.
Okay.
Memphis and New Orleans.
Oh no.
Those are the two furthest Western Conference
Oh,
teams
no.
to the east.
Oh no.
We'd still be the New Orleans Pelicans. We would not change that. But we'd just be in the Eastern Conference instead of the West.
Well, now wait a minute. That might be beneficial to us.
Wait. Don't say it yet. Hang on. We're going to get your thoughts in just a second. I want to explain the situation. If the Hawks move to Seattle. Now, this doesn't go through unless a Western state buys them. If someone from an Eastern state buys them, nothing changes.
Right. they're
Except
still
the
in
city.
East, Right.
But if Seattle were to buy him, which is likely going to happen.
You mean Atlanta would let something like that happen?
They have to.
There's nobody in Atlanta that would take over the ownership?
The mayor says he doesn't want the team in Atlanta. The mayor. Who's going to argue with the mayor? Nobody.
I know, but Atlanta's in Georgia.
Mhm.
There's no other Georgia city that would want to buy them and pull them out of Atlanta. And Georgia only has one NBA team.
Yep.
Atlanta.
So if the Hawks go to Seattle, that means you've got 16 Western Conference teams and 14 Eastern Conference teams. Well, obviously that ain't fair.
No.
You gotta have 15 per.
Right.
You've got Memphis and New Orleans. Those are the two teams. One of them gotta go to the East.
Who makes that decision?
The NBA. Right now, it's looking like New Orleans will be moving to the East.
Wow.
That's the whole situation.
Eastern Central, right?
The Central Division of the East.
Yeah.
Probably. Maybe. Maybe the Southeast. Probably the Southeast.
Okay.
Because that's where Atlanta is. Atlanta's in the Southeast Division.
Okay.
I believe. I have that right? Atlanta, Miami. Ugh. Can't believe I'm messing this up. Yeah, Southeast. Because that's where Orlando, Miami, all those guys are. There's your situation. Now, your thoughts. Just sound off. It's a big situation. Could change a lot.
That might be very beneficial for us.
It would be very beneficial.
I mean, I see us in one of the top spots if that
Well,
happens.
you want to know where we'd end up?
Where?
Right now.
So you're using the rankings that we've got right now, but you're putting us in that division.
Right now.
Hypothetically speaking, where would that put us?
Right now, Atlanta, if they were in the West, they're first in the East right now by
Right.
1.5 games.
Right.
Right now, if they were in the West, they'd be in third.
Okay.
New Orleans,
We're fifth.
no. In
Oh,
our
we're fifth
division.
in our division.
In our division.
Yeah.
We're ninth in the conference.
Right.
At 17 and 17, New Orleans is looking at the 7th seed in the East right now. We're ninth in the West. We'd be ahead of Brooklyn and Miami. We'd knock Miami out of the playoffs. Brooklyn would become the 8th seed. We'd be the 7th seed by a half game over the 6th seed Milwaukee.
And all of this is up to the big dogs of the NBA.
All of this is right. Right.
I don't understand, with Atlanta's record, the way that it is right now, that this trash talk gossip stuff is still going to be determined by a mayor that says...
Well, the mayor said it a long time ago.
Okay.
When they came to the decision, I don't want this team in Atlanta anymore. Because Atlanta is painted with a lot of bad brushes already. Okay?
So get rid of the person that said it.
They did. They got rid of Ferry, and now they're getting rid of the team.
You think that's fair?
Atlanta Hawks have a storied history. It's going to be tough calling them the Seattle Hawks. But that's what it's looking like. Now they'll have the Seattle Seahawks in the NFL and the Seattle Hawks in the NBA.
The new mayor the mayor that said this and whatever, does he realize how much this is going to hurt Atlanta? Economically and all that kind of stuff?
Hey.
Is he out to prove a point?
Yeah, probably. Probably. As far as New Orleans goes, I'll take the deal. Let's move to the East. We got a winning record against the East this year. Let's move to the
Wow.
East, please. The only problem we'd have in the Southeast Division right now would be Washington. We'd be second in the division.
Yeah.
Move to the East, please. I'd love it. By God, don't move Memphis to the East.
Oh.
Because they'll win it every year.
Yeah.
Maybe not against Chicago. But Memphis will,
Oh, well, there'd never be any competition though.
except for Chicago.
Right. Right.
But please, let's move to the East.
Right.
It would get us out of that Southwest Division.
Yeah. Wow. When is this factor supposed to be determined?
No telling. No telling.
Well, it's got to be decided
They're
at
trying
least
to-
by the end of the season.
They're trying to do it by the end of the season. But there's a lot of people that got to go through to do it.
Is there any way that maybe this will fall through
Oh, yeah.
and things will stay as they are?
No, they will not be in Atlanta. They will not be in Atlanta. They will change cities.
But it could be another Georgia city.
Oh, it could be. It could be. But what other big Georgia city do you have besides Atlanta? See what I'm saying? You want it in your biggest city. You want it in your city that brings in the most money.
Yeah, they're going to lose a lot of money doing this.
Yep. Hey. The Lakers remind Steve Nash, quote, "The welcome mat is out." Yvonne Juno, your thoughts on this?
What? The Lakers want Steve Nash?
That's what I'm asking you.
Well, obviously that's what that means. They want him to go. They want him to leave. Saying, I don't see Steve Nash leaving to go to the Lakers.
Leaving? He don't play for anybody. He didn't play for anybody.
I thought Steve was still. Oh, that's right.
Steve Nash last played with the Lakers and has the back problems
Right. I forgot he was still out with the back
and is
problem.
taking the season off.
They would be willing to take him back with the back problems.
If he wants to come back.
Do you see Steve Nash going back?
I think Steve Nash needs to retire.
I do too.
No, I don't. But I do want to say that I commend the hell out of the Lakers for doing this. Because they realize how valuable of an asset that Steve Nash could be.
And was.
Even with the back problems.
At his age, with
But I
his
don't see
history, and
But let's be honest, it's a pretty cool thing for the Lakers
oh,
to do.
absolutely.
It's a pretty cool thing
And
to
let's be perfectly honest about something else. If he was 100%, they could sure the hell use him.
do. Good Lord.
They sure could use him.
Speaking of the Lakers, Kobe Bryant records his 21st career triple-double in the win over Denver. Yvonne, we're not going to talk about the game in grave detail, but your thoughts on Kobe's performance.
Congratulations. Congratulations. They're going to have to pull him. They talk about his age
Kobe Bryant's
and all
going to have
that.
to die on the court.
Absolutely.
Which I
Absolutely.
admire the absolute hell out of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that disagree with what I just said, but you know what? You can't argue work ethic. You just can't do it.
Put it this way. He doesn't play like he's 37. It's 37, right?
38.
38. He doesn't play like he's 38 out there on the floor.
Jesus Christ.
And they were so worried he would not be able to come back and do
Give
what he used
me
to
a
do.
break.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Yeah.
Now, Kobe. Very, very, very controversial quote. Euro players are more skillful. Yvonne, do you agree or disagree with this, and why?
I have no idea. And why would he make a statement like that?
They were
How did
obviously.
that come up?
It was obviously in an interview, and maybe the question of, I mean, they could have been talking. They could have been talking about anything. They could have been talking about the Olympics that are coming up in 2016. They could have been talking about anything. It obviously came up, and these words came out of Kobe's mouth.
Well, the man has a right to his own personal opinion. Was it a politically correct thing to say? Probably not. Can he back that up with some statistics and some substantiated proof? Yeah, you can. Look at people like Tony Parker from France. Look at people, I mean, they do play extremely well.
Dirk, Steve Nash,
Uh-huh.
Manu.
Uh-huh. They're very high quality players. Yes, they are. Does he feel that way? Obviously so. He said it. Do I agree or disagree? I think that's a matter of opinion. I mean, I can quote just as many American players that I think are better than the Euro players. Do I think that even though he feels that way, he should have kept that opinion to himself? Yeah, I do.
Well, let's first start
I think
off.
a lot of this interview crap that they do with these guys need to remember that what they say, they're gonna promote it in the most negative way possible.
Let's start off by saying that Kobe Bryant does not and has not ever played politics. Okay? He doesn't care.
I know.
Because he's Kobe Bryant.
Right,
Okay?
right.
Let me start my opinion and my spiel on this by saying there is some validity to this. And I do not disagree with Kobe Bryant very often at all. Because you can say what you want about him, 99% of the stuff that he says is true to the bone. This, I disagree with this. Euro players are very skillful. Very. But they're skillful in a different way. There's different meanings to skillful. Dirk Nowitzki plays like unlike any other player that we've ever seen.
Right.
Tony Parker, everything he does on the court is so smooth. And he does it with a purpose. Unlike anybody we've ever seen. But you're not going to tell me that Dirk Nowitzki is more skillful than LeBron James. All around. You're not going to tell me that Tony Parker, right now at this stage of his career, is more skillful than a Chris Paul.
Right.
You're not going to tell me that Manu Ginobili, as good as he is and as much respect as I have for these guys, is more skillful than Dwayne Wade. You're just not going to get it past me. You're not going to get it past me. This, I got to disagree with fully. I got to disagree with it because the proof is evident. As far as I'm concerned, the proof is there.
I think it depends on how you look at it. I don't necessarily think that he maybe meant it as a whole. We don't know what the media, how this was brought up, what was said, what topic was being discussed. That's the reason I keep saying these guys need to be careful what they say, because the media is almost always going to make something these guys say and twist it and make something negative out of it. Because if you're not a Kobe Bryant fan and you hear something like this, the first thing that somebody like that would say is, then why the hell are you playing here? Go to Europe and play.
Right.
So, I
Tough.
mean,
It's tough.
they could have been asking him about one or two particular players. They could have been talking,
Maybe.
I don't know.
Part 2 ends here. Part 3 coming at you right now.